Well, now that we got the old girl out, I guess this is what we all been waiting for. Let's get this thing put together, and we're gonna fire this up and actually run it by this afternoon. So we got some work to do. Let's get going. Everything is kind of scattered around. We've been painting it and cleaning it up and prepping it and getting it ready. Hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have everything else painted, but first thing we'll do is we'll start in the front here. I'll just open up this smoke box door. So when this was an air locomotive, obviously this whole thing was one piece and this front was riveted on right here. But when Hekla converted it to a steam locomotive, they cut it, and it looks like they did some welding and they built a ring and they put a seal in here, which you'll see here as soon as I open it up. So I think this was done in the 40s. Is that correct on that?
45 is the closest guess.
45. So all this welding here is pretty impressive for being very early welds and not having the fancy welders and technology that we have. They did a really nice job on the welding on this. We're gonna have to get this all cleaned out, but we are not gonna do that today because we are just gonna jump to getting this thing put together. This is kind of a hard shot. So I got this all put together already. But look at the thickness of this metal here. This is just crazy. That's got to be an inch thick. Because this pressure vessel right here held 1,500 pounds of air. So, and they could fill this. I think there was a 3-inch line that they would fill this tank with air, and I believe this 2 or 3 minutes. It wasn't very long. So they must have had a huge steam-powered air compressor outside of the mines. Then they had air hoses running in the mines that would fill this up and obviously run their air-powered probably drills and whatever else they had in there. Ventilation. So our front handhold is in. So for now we are done up here. So let this get this closed up. I met a young man yesterday. His name is Logan, and I invited him out because he loves trains. So Logan is going to be assisting us in putting this locomotive together. And what do you think about that little Porter?
Pretty cool. I know it's a Porter HK. I was watching some of your YouTube videos. It's a pretty neat little steam locomotive. Used to be an air locomotive, I know. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, and we're gonna run it today. So what I like to do is I like to make sure I get a good seal, and some people do this, some people don't. But on the inside here, you know, this is the water and steam portion of the boiler. So I just take a wire brush and I just I go around the inside, clean any surface rust off that should be in there. You can see the dust. Now we got a nice surface. And I go around here and clean all this off. I got these cleaned off already. But then you got a nice clean smooth surface. There's no surface rust in there. Hopefully that gasket seals a little bit better. And then another thing I like to do put just a little bit of oil on my threads. Keeps them from rusting, keeps them lubricated. So this handhold here that I'm putting in here, and what these are is they're spots in the boiler to visually inspect the boiler. You can look inside there if you got a flashlight. You can see all the flues. No, you cannot see the flues here. You see the top of the firebox right here, and you can see all the stays. These ones run full length. I have some still photos inside the boiler that I'll put on right after this so you can see what I'm talking about.
Quick question here. Are those rigid stay bolts or?
Yeah, these are all, I believe these are all welded in.
Okay, so they are rigid
Yep.
stay bolts.
Yep, right here. They're all welded in. Welded stays.
Okay.
Good question.
Because I know on some of the bigger locomotives they have flexible stay bolts. So that way when you're going around a long corner it doesn't break in half.
Yeah, well, the other kind too are also threaded in. The old
Yeah.
school, they all tapped and threaded them all in. But with the technology and the welding we have, they just cut them out and weld them in now. So, no, these are all welded stays in here.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a little tricky because this is this is actually bigger than the hole. So how do you get something bigger than the hole in there? So it makes it a little tricky, but you gotta kind of weasel it in there. Turn it just right. And you get it centered. Try and hold it just right. There it is. Snug it up so we can still move it here a little bit. Get it centered best we can. That looks good. And snug it up. And I got this wrench from Diz, came with the locomotive. And he cut it off because I know a lot of times people with a lot of leverage don't realize how tight you're making everything. So a little shorter wrench, you don't have the leverage. You don't over tighten things and ruin the threads. I already cleaned these up. Just get some of the surface rust off the threads. I got this little fella here. It's I can't find the other one I normally use, so I just use this one for today. But I do the threads on the inside too. It's not the best for this, but the threads are really clean and they're not bad. But I'll just give you a quick demonstration. Just get this inside here. We're on this one. A little tape on these. Do you know how to put Teflon tape on?
I think so. My dad does it once in a while.
Well, the biggest trick is you just put it on the right way. I'll show you when I get it done here. So this is the important part. I'll show you right here. Is the tail. And you put the tail this way because when you turn it in the boiler, it holds it down. If you wrap it the other way and it spins when you turn it in the boiler,
It's gonna unravel it.
exactly, just like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you always got to make sure you're going with
Yeah.
a little tape on there. And these are really just some drain plugs for the side of the boiler because you got your firebox in here. And your firebox sheets drop straight down, so you have this little narrow flat spot, which is basically a dead end road. So any of the sludge and sediment, and they call it a mud line, it builds up where the impurities in the water settle. So they would be trapped in these back two corners. So that's why these two plugs are in there. We can take these out and flush and wash the boiler out if we put this on an incline or the power washer, and flush all that mud right out of the back of the boiler. And these are pipe threads, so they wedge in there as they go. So the tape acts as a lubricant, and it does help seal it up. So you don't want to over tighten these. Once we put water in there, if they leak a little bit, we'll tighten them up some more. The reason you don't want to over tighten these is you mess up the threads, and if you mess up the threads in a boiler, then they got to be retapped or cut out and welded in, and man, it's just a big headache and a lot of work. Snug them up nice. That should be good. So I believe we'll do one more walk around and check, but I think this old girl is ready for water. But let's give it a once over, and then if it is, we're gonna fire up the Plymouth and bring it down to the pond and oil her all up, grease it up, ready to go. So when we move this in the spring, there is a lot of oil in the steam chest. Obviously I cannot see inside of the steam chest, but as things are moving around in here, you know, I'm assuming it works its way down and gets into the cylinders. Obviously right here, you know, oil is coming out of here from somewhere. So I could pretty much assure you that when we move this in the spring, before we fire it, these cylinders are well lubricated. I listened in the video that people were saying about these cylinders moving where they weren't being lubricated. I watched that video about 10 times and I hear, I believe, what they're talking about, and it's noises coming from the Plymouth that had nothing to do with these cylinders were quiet as can be. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate all the comments, because if I am doing something wrong, I definitely want to know. But I was thinking about this the other day. I'm getting old. I believe I've been running a steam engine for over 30 years, so I'm not new to this profession, if you will. But no, I appreciate all the comments. If I'm doing something wrong, please definitely let me know.
Good. Push that in. That's it.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just leave this warm up. We'll go wash our hands, and then we'll pull the steam locomotive over to the pond. Just don't bump that when you hop out. Get this one pops out of there pretty hard. You got to be careful with this one.
So we made a fancy little rig in here. We're gonna fill a boiler through the blowdown right here. Double female hose fitting, an adapter, and a brass reducer. And that doesn't have to be tight. Actually, you know what? We're gonna run some water through that. Let the trash pump clear itself out before we hook that up to minimize any contamination. Fancy word for dirt.
right, we'll just leave that open. We keep an eye on it. So Gina painted the cab up real nice. We took these off so we didn't get paint on them. Now we're gonna put the builder plates back on. We still got a little painting to do, but she is looking really nice.
Oh yeah, does it tight fit here?
Yeah, just waiting for water in our water glasses here. So what I'm doing here is I open this up. This is a direct line from the boiler to run accessories if we want to. So I just opened this up so the pump doesn't struggle and build pressure in the pump. So we're just venting all the air out as we fill the boiler with water. Well, now that we got water going in the boiler, we need to connect the tender water to the engine. So once we get running, we can draft water from the boiler into the engine. And that's pretty simple. Just got this draft line right here. We'll have to get a screwdriver. This here. It's all connected. Once you pour that up, and we'll get a screwdriver and tighten that. That's simple as that. Ah, nice and tight. Well, you missed that. I want to make sure everything was taking water. So I started to unscrew this a little bit. There was no water coming out. And I kept unscrewing it because there was no water coming out. It seals really good because all of a sudden it came right off. I had water coming out of the hose and the boiler. And I got a little wet. It's definitely filling with water. We definitely got water filling up in the boiler. So when I pulled the hose off, it was coming out pretty high speed. So we know there's a little bit of head pressure on it. And this one is not leaking, so we're gonna close this up now. And this should be good. We got water right there. Yep, we got water. We got a half a glass of water in this side. We're gonna call that good because once we throw a fire to it and it starts warming up, it's gonna expand. So we got plenty of water in there.
Yeah, it's all the way forward.
I'll let you know in a minute. If I get wet, it's not closed. She's closed. You got her. Okay, so now I'll throw this in the tender. Tells you how hot the sun and water got.
It's completely empty.
Just throw that in there. We'll just set this on top. Just gently so it holds that in there. Just get her filling. This, yeah. There's a drain in the... Before we backed it up, our steam oilers, I opened them all the way up and they actually did drain. So we refilled our steam oilers, we got it back here. We are full of water, boiler's full,
tender's full, everything's coupled. I don't see any leaks. We'll check our injector valves and everything, but we are ready to start this up. Funny story before we start this is I couldn't find the key. And he says, well, steam engines don't have keys. Where do you put a key start on a steam engine? So I went into a store. This is a true story. This was last year. Went into a store. I said, hey, you got keys? They said, yeah, we got keys. I said, great, I need a steam engine key. Girl looked at me and said, I don't think we have steam engine keys. And I said, come on, really? This type of a store, you got to have a steam engine key in here somewhere. And I said, that's all right, don't worry, I'll find it. She said, oh, I'm pretty sure we don't have steam engine keys. So I walked around, it didn't go far, and all of a sudden, you got to start this old girl somehow, right? How do you start a steam engine? With a steam engine key. There's your key. And just like that, she started. You got to have a key to start a steam engine. Most people get disappointed when their engine starts on fire, but I'm pretty excited right now.
Yeah, we want this one to start on fire.
Help! It's on fire! It's on fire!
All right, here's my fireman for the day. We are gonna hop in and go for a little cab ride.
It is toasty in this cab.
Yes. Okay, so while we were sitting, we got 100 pounds of pressure. I got the injector going over here. We got 3/4 of a glass of water.
Over here we got the same, actually.
So I'm gonna shut off the steam. And shut the water off so it don't drain. So running a Porter locomotive that is well maintained is super simple. Release your parking brake. Put your reverser all the way into the forward and pull your throttle. Oh, well, I better open the cylinder cocks. And pull the throttle, and away we go. Couple turns of the cylinders and close the cylinder cocks. And that is all there is to it. So instead of filming, I'm going to hand the camera to the fireman and let you explain his side.
Alright, this side is probably a lot more easier than driving the train, actually. But it is a heck of a lot more important. Because of the water level. If you don't have good water levels, you're going to explode. So, basically, the fireman's job is to keep water in the boiler, to keep the fire going, to make sure the fire stays hot, to maintain steam pressure, and to watch the left side of the train.
So we're getting some crazy ideas out here. Before we let the Porter sit overnight, we're gonna pull every single car that we got, including the Plymouth. This will be interesting. Well, this is officially going to be the biggest train we've ever pulled out here at the Neil Wilson Railway. We're breaking records today.
Well, seeing this is our first run, we got several laps around with just the engine. We decided to pull all of our cars out. We put the Plymouth on, we're gonna leave that on, and we're gonna give her a good workout for one, maybe 2 laps at the most. I don't like pulling a lot of cars on a short loop like this because the engine wants to pull straight and it's really hard on the flange on the front outside wheel of the locomotive. So we're just gonna do a couple laps here and disconnect everything and put the locomotive back in the shed for the night. So one last little run. Here we go. Let's see if she'll pull everything around. Not a problem. I don't even have the throttle open. Well, slightly.
That was a lot of fun, but sun's going down and we still got a lot of work to do to clean up the Porter a little bit, so sadly it's time to put her away. Alright, so I can throw the switch one more time. Ah! All good things must come to an end. But make no mistake, we'll be breaking this stuff out again here pretty soon. All right, one more time. Oh, let's see if I can. Wow. It's actually pretty hard to film with one hand. Another thing that just occurred to me, we were able to fire this locomotive, I think, in under 5 hours total. So that's a pretty darn good start. We sadly got some work to do on the whistle. I think the, oh, what are those things called? The bungee cord for the lever broke, so rather than pulling on the lever and getting it stuck in the open position, we're just gonna leave it, but we'll fix it, make no mistake. Yeah, what a great day to do this. It was a lot of fun. Tried to bum a ride, he didn't go for it.
Last one of the day. Well, maybe, unless we play with Buzz.
And stop.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that little test run on the Neil Wilson Railway. We're gonna get ready. We got a couple little things and adjustments to do here on the locomotive before the next run, but we are going to ramp up for a special event for parents that have lost children. We've done 2 last year and it was great, so we're going to do it again. And hope you enjoyed that. We're going to be running the locomotive some more. Maybe we'll get some more footage when we pull it out and get it ready for that event. And thank you for all of our members that support this railroad. We can't do what we do without your support, and it means a lot. And thank you, Logan, for all the support and running. His first time on the railroad, first time ever operating a steam locomotive. What did you think of that today?
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Absolutely, we'll have you back. So putting a smile on somebody's face today, I hope you do the same. Take care and we'll see you next time.